Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's SEO Q&A session. Hopefully, Chris Palmer turns up. I am going to make the assumption that he's caught up in a phone call or something similar. So he will be joining us soon, hopefully. But before we do anything, do check out press releases from 38 Digital Market, Mr. Randy Roday's press release service, amazing for deliverables for clients, links, expanding your referring domain count, and a whole bunch of other benefits. So check that out using the link below if you're interested in digital PR services. But we are here today to answer questions, so please do put your questions over in the chat. And also let us know who is Erie Wigan, where you're from, and all of that good stuff. And also make sure you do give us a little like, thumbs up, or something similar. But yeah, I'm just double checking if Palmer actually has read the message. Not yet, which is never a good sign. But there's 11 people here. Who is there? You can fire away with your questions straight away. And Chris can hop in whenever's convenient for him. So guys, whoops, nearly clicked on the wrong thing there. No one is talking. Very, very quiet early on. Is anyone watching, first and foremost? Apart from the guy sitting across the table from me. Very quiet bunch today. Ilya Moscovoy. What's your opinion on Google Stacks for GMB? Man of the hour, says Dirk Schemberry. But Ilya, your question, Google Stacks for GMB. People do them with varying degrees of success. It's not for me, to be perfectly honest. It's not up to me to decide who's right and who's wrong in terms of their strategy. But would the best way for me to say this is, Ilya, I would rather spend more time on stuff that moves the needle. I think, with stacks, you've got guys like Brian Cato who do amazing stuff with stacks and things like that. But I think there's a lot of effort goes into that for a small amount of reward. In my opinion, when it comes to GMBs, reviews are very powerful. Engagement signals, traffic, directional requests, that type of thing are very powerful. So I don't really do too much in the way of Google Stacks for GMB. However, there are guys out there who are absolutely crushing it, using it. So I'm not going to sit here and say they don't do anything. But for me personally, I don't. But I'm not big on the GMB side of things. Try to step away from it. It's a volatile market. So yeah, I try and steer clear of it. Tonya is here. Nerdy Romero. I'm listening, as always, Nerdy. Have you used Scrapbox's GOT plugin? So the plugins on Scrapebox, yes, I have used many of them over the years. I don't know what a GOT plugin is, but I'm just going to open a Scrapebox and see. What? It's always ropey. GPT plugin. Right. I was going to say, what the fuck's a got plugin? You never know. People add things. GPT plugin, I've not used that on Scrapebox. Didn't even know they had that on Scrapebox. Purchase plugin. But no, I've not tried that at all on Scrapebox. But I will look at it. It's always good to try these things out. And Dirk, it is only me and you, or it was only me and you. Parth, and we will go through these questions in a first come, first served basis, guys. So keep the questions coming. I will go through as many as I possibly can. And Mr. Palmer has also joined us.
Slacker.
You got caught up in a call or something?
I was in a call, man. Yeah, I told him, I'm like, Dan, I got to run, man. I'm sorry.
All good, mate. All good. Calls are more important than this shit.
But is it? Talk to Craig Campbell or take care of a client. I don't know. I don't know, man. It depends on the client.
You've got to look after your family, dude. You've got to look after your family.
Wait, I thought you were kind of like, we're kind of like a family in a way.
Yeah. I'm calling you.
If somebody was punching you, I would jump in with you, man.
I appreciate that, Chris. Yeah. Not many people would, but I appreciate that.
I can't fight, but I'm not scared to get punched in the face.
Well, Chris, I'm going to go back to Nerdy's question just quickly. Have you used Scrapebox's GPT plugin? I've not personally, but
no, I'm all GPT tooled and scripted, and I'm good. I'm totally solid. There's a woman that put me on to advanced prompting. I can't think of her name off the top of my head. She gave me some private lessons on that. She's on LinkedIn. I can't think of her name. Once I learned that, I was really good. We started using Palm. I'm good on the tools, man. I'm good.
No more. But I'll have a look, Nerdy, just because I'm a nosy bastard. I like to check these things out. And Scrapebox is an old...
what's her name? I want to give her a shout. What's that lady's name, dude? She's so good. Oh, man.
Give us a clue.
She's on LinkedIn. I can't think of her name, man. She's got like that purplish, reddish hair. She's really nice. She's really good with the prompting and the chaining. I can't think of her name, man. I want to give her a shout, but I can't think of her name. I'm going to go look.
Whilst Chris is looking, Parth, what to do is a keyword has mixed search intent. What to do if a keyword has mixed search intent, informational and transactional?
This comes up. Usually the authoritative websites will pop up for the informational queries. And then you think that's what you should do, but then you never rank. So what I would look at is the majority. What's the majority in the SERP ranking for? And is it dominated by authoritative websites? Those are the things I would look at. Go and see what the majority is. If there's only one or two outliers and they're authority websites, that doesn't mean it's an informational SERP. And that's generally what I find, right? Hopefully that makes sense to you. See what the majority is doing. You know, the only time an info is going to pop into a commercial-based query is that if it's a super authority. You know, that's what I see. I see that in the sell my house market all the time. You know?
Ilya has a GMB question. We answered that earlier. However, he needs a fast needle move for a GMB. What's your fastest? If someone's desperate and they need that fucker to move ASAP, what are you doing? Are you using one of the tool, the CTR tools out there, or are you doing something different?
Google Business and Maps works on top of each other. I mean, if you're in a Hail Mary situation and you're sitting at number 10, it's not going to happen for you. There's no one thing that's going to shoot you to the 3-pack. Now, if you're sitting at number 4 and you're trying to bounce in, then I would maybe apply some type of traffic or clicks or burst of reviews, turn on some type of advertising to run traffic into the asset. That would be what I would utilize in order to get that push. But there's no Hail Mary that's going to take you from 10 to 3. No. I don't know any. You let me know. I'd be rich. I wouldn't be sitting here.
So yeah, I think Ilya, you know, a lot of people will tell you traffic engagement and all that kind of stuff works. All I can really do is try and say mix that traffic up. Don't just use CTR Booster or Viper tools or whatever. You know, try and do a little bit more, maybe some paid, some whatever else you can get your hands on. But yeah, you've got to work it. There's no quick fix. Unfortunately, you're likely to torch that thing if you start playing about too much. How much, Tanya's asking, do you usually spend on tier 2 links in proportion to the cost of tier 1 link?
10.
Tier 2 costs 20% of tier 1. Tier 2 is a hell of a lot cheaper than tier 1. That 20%, it's considerably more. I'm not going to say any more than that because, you know, people are out there trying to earn a few quid with their tier 2 stuff and all that kind of thing. But obviously tier 2 is a hell of a lot cheaper, and it makes no financial sense to you know, point a guest post at a guest post. Hence why we are always looking for the cheaper alternatives. But the cost is significantly cheaper.
I keep getting yelled at. I've had a couple of guys like, Chris, shut your mouth with these prices, dude. Like, what's wrong with you? So,
well, I've even said to you, what you charge is far too cheap. You know, there's a lot of guys out there selling tier 2, and they will charge you
a fair,
handsome chunk. Let's just say that, Tanya. But you can get them a lot more than 20% cheaper than your tier 1. That's a fact. But I'm not going to say any more because, yeah.
But that would mean, though, if you're spending $100 for a guest post, second tier, second level or third level guest post, right? So website.com/second level/ would be third level. So we're on the same page. If I pay $100 for that, that would mean that link would be $80. I would never. This is me, just my opinion. I wouldn't pay more than $10 for an insert. This is just my opinion. What about you?
I mean, I know the cost of these.
$10.
And I'm not going to disagree with you. I mean, I wouldn't even want to pay the $10 if I'm being honest. But but yeah, let's say $10. So sure. 90% cheaper. So yeah.
But those lists are far and few. So to be fair.
Hope you're all good. What's the best way to spot cannibalization, Chris?
Search console. Go into Search Console, type in that primary query. When you're on query, it's literally the next one over. Click pages and take a look. Now, if I start seeing massive impression shares starting to show up on a different page than the right one, might have an issue, you know, because impressions lead to clicks. You'll spot the impressions before the clicks. Like if I start seeing my secondary pages getting 1,000 and the top one's only getting 2,000, I'd be like, whoa, time to detune. Time to detune.
Yeah. There are people talking, LDL, about tools and stuff that are going to help with this. But I think Search Console is your best answer for now. Haji, my main site got down from last month and now have 2 plans to implement. One is to do Battleship audit and make it better. And second is to add new content in my silos. I mean, I can't really say there's anything more you can suggest. You know, I think implementing new content in your silos, you know, fully cover, you know, the cluster if you haven't already, and going to doing an audit, even on a website that's performing well, is something that you probably should be doing anyway. Going in there and fine tuning things and everything else. So I don't think either of those are going to be a bad thing. I think these are things that, you know, I would be encouraging people not to wait until their website goes down before they start doing this. Start, you know, doing this all the time. This should be a regular ongoing occurrence.
And get off the Income School channel. Come see Craig, you know, Ted, Chris Ballmer, Kyle Roof. Get off that channel. No, I'm just my opinion though. What do I know? Battleship this.
Konya, Chris, last week you mentioned you're listening to some old material from Kyle Roof. Is it in public access? Where can I get it?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
I got, you know, just fun fact about Chris. When Dory and Kyle first got on, they sent out binders, dude. I have the original binder that was sent out from.
Well, they sent out a binder to your fucking house.
Yes, with the tests in it, like printed out. Yes. So, but no, those old material, she used to do it on like Get Webinar or Get whatever. And I downloaded all of them, and it got like with VLC movie player, I took out the MP3. I don't know any place that it's available, but I mean, it was good stuff. I'm a nerd, dude. I mean, I like that stuff.
Would you post that shit out to someone for a fee?
No, no. I value my relationship with Kyle more than the small fee. Now, you want to come with 10 bands, 20 bands, 50 bands or something, maybe. but no, not just on the strength. I wouldn't do that. No, because I like being able to message Kyle and get coupon codes and, you know, high fives and stuff.
Why not?
Yeah.
Richard Howl Music, sorry, Richard. I've recently noticed Google reviews disappearing, removed across multiple GMB profiles. I've noticed this across profiles and even see a very large competitor profile disappear entirely. That is very, very common, and it's been happening for the last few months, Richard. All of those, I wouldn't like to say fake, but reviews and the profiles and everything else that were leaving said reviews are being targeted, and a lot of the review sellers are having real problems.
Ooh, that's an understatement. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's been going on for the last couple of months just now, and yes, you can recover some of those disappearing reviews, but I'm not entirely sure what Google are doing, but they're clearly looking at that and dealing with it accordingly. So your large competitor may have just boom disappeared completely because he's bought too many or something. So they may have just wiped out his profile, or maybe he wasn't even at that address that he claimed he was at. That's also a possibility. So
I'm seeing them do that. They're wiping out even the real ones. Hey, Charlie, what's up, buddy? Nice paint.
He's just walked in with this on his face. Oh, man.
I like it. What is it? Halloween Day? What's
Nah, dude, we're on holiday, and the wife took him to some zoo thing, and this is what's come back.
Cool. What's up? I like that paint, man.
Give him a thumbs up.
I forgot the order of the question. Oh, the reviews. They're even removing the real ones, right? Yeah. So it's like Google has no clue what's real, what's not. So my non-public advice is load it up because they can't tell the difference.
A pain in the ass, Richard. That is all we'll say.
Facts.
Yeah. It is what it is, though. But thank God I'm not doing that shit as a service.
I know, man. That is a nightmare.
That
reminds me.
Rob has a question. What is more important with SEO now, DA or building quality content?
It's not a either or. DA has never been a factor, right? I think Building referring domains is a factor, and age is a factor, which is how we encompass DA, right? We could call that whatever we want. So that's always the factor. And then building content as fast as possible that actually has some type of purpose is always been. Like, these two things are SEO. So it's not an either or, Rob.
I think you can't do one without the other, to be honest, unless you're in a weak market. I think you do need to be focusing on both. So Charlie's want to show his new toys off as well.
Hey, I always show mine off too, man. You get something cool, I'm always like taking pictures.
The wife takes him out and comes back with fucking
gear.
We're going to need a suitcase.
All the stuff you couldn't have when you were a kid. I always load little C up. What do you want? Here, go ahead, buddy.
He gets that as well, don't you? Mm-hmm. He gets spoiled rotten.
Gotta live.
And then he will eventually be on here taking over YouTube. Yes. That's what he wants to be. I think YouTuber.
No, I want to be Spider-Man.
I'm Spider-Man.
Oh. That's a fine choice. I like Venom better, but okay.
Follow-up question for Tonya. I often see a mix of info and commercial intent pages for short, ambiguous keywords. You probably should not try to target that keyword and find a similar longer one. So that was in relation to the question that was earlier. I mean, total cost of tier 2 links to a cost of one tier 1 link. So, yeah, still.
That giving specifics is very difficult because we don't know what pool you're looking in, right? But it should be significantly less, down to a 10th or a 20th of the cost. If, I don't know what your range is for guest posts. Some guys I know are paying $200, $300, $400 a piece for a guest post. If that's the case, a 10th of that cost, a fifth of that cost for the second tier.
Yeah.
Very, very low. We're talking $1 or less. Okay. Keep it cheap. Keep it cheap. And then I see these other, I get questions, right? And they're like, oh, what about the third tier? And I'm like, well, I don't even spend money at that point unless it's a Scrapebox list or a GSA list.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I digress.
Keep the questions coming, folks, and also make sure you give us a little thumbs up on the channel. Rob Falco.
Or a down.
I heard you and a few others briefly mention that it can sometimes be beneficial for a small business to link to a few competitors. Can you explain a bit how that can potentially benefit Chris?
Absolutely. Not only do I want to sometimes link to them, but I'll utilize their brand name within the content. Some clients, this isn't, it can be frowned upon, but other clients that are with the program and want to win at any cost, they get the idea because especially in local markets, the primary term that's driving the majority of the traffic is their name. So traffic is the lifeblood. So if I want to start becoming the authority, I need to siphon traffic from the leading competitor. And then when we're talking about linking, co-citation, you link to authoritative sources like Wiki and things that are related, right? It's the same play. Who's number one? Who's number two? Who's been there for 20 years in the law space? I'm going to link out to them and use their name. So, I look like them. I'm linking to them. I'm just like them. I have their keywords on the page. Try it out and you tell me if it's worthwhile or not.
I think you make a valid point. Trying to incorporate the brand name of the competitor is a very, very easy. Well, not very easy, but one of the basic steps. If you can try and achieve and siphon some of that traffic, then why not? They've went into years of hard work trying to build that brand. So if you can brand jack that a little bit, why the hell not?
And then linking's getting them into the link graph.
I get why some people wouldn't be happy with it. I know some people will be like, oh, there's no fucking way I'm not mentioning that so-and-so's name on my fucking website and linking to them and stuff. But If that's how the internet works, and you want to, like you say, win at all costs, then sometimes you've got to do things that are maybe a little bit
different.
Yeah. So
and
that's
then you
what
can be clever. You can get clever with it. You can do, top 5 lists. You're at the top, and it's your site. You can write whatever you want. Now, be careful with brand names and stuff, and be careful what you say. But you can, build an accordion that's hidden and write about the competition. Nobody will even know it's there. You know?
You don't necessarily have to show it to the public's eye.
That's right. Absolutely. And then too, you can do, there's a lot that you can do there, but definitely encompassing the brand names of the leading competitors to help, siphon some of that traffic is in your best interest. Plus, if you're doing any type of traffic or any other secondary manipulation, ranking for your competitor's name and clicking on your asset is only a positive factor. Very key. Or writing a press release about them and then jumping over to you. Oh, try it. You'll love it. It's great.
Try it out. And Ursol, shame to see Brad and Mike retire. Legends.
Retiring.
So we haven't decided if Mike is retired just yet, but Brad is going to be taking a back seat for a while, and he wants to focus on some other business interests and stuff like that. So the Tuesday session with Brad and Mike, we may do something with Mike. It's not obviously up to Mike if he wants to or not. But I think Brad wants to take a back seat. He doesn't want to. Bloody hell. Mike sent an email that he is retired too. So yeah, I think obviously we had a good 4 years at it.
Shoot, are we retiring?
No.
Okay, good. Yeah, no.
This was on Brad's part. I think he just wants to do his own thing. I think he wants to get involved in other businesses. He wants to spend more time doing his thing rather than talking. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to have them both for the last 4 years, but sometimes people go off in a different direction. And you never know, we may revive it one day as well. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, the Tuesday session, it was this one. We get different questions and it's faster flowing. I don't know. I think it was becoming a bit repetitive as well. If I'm being honest, a lot of the same people with the same questions, and if that happens, then things like that have a kind of time thing on them. But for whatever reason, this one we still get different stuff, and we're kept on our toes, and questions are fast flowing and stuff like that. Sometimes you're sitting on a Tuesday and you're like, "Fuck, ask a question, someone." You get two guys there who have a wealth of experience and probably, I would say underutilized. People could have got a lot more out of them. All comes down to the questions that you ask. So yeah, two great guys, and if he's retired, then
jerseys up. Sign the jerseys and sell them.
Yeah,
I got jerseys for sale. No,
but yeah, many good knowledge from them. Also, yeah, two great guys with great experience, great stories, and yeah, they've spent a lot of time. I would hate to think probably 200 plus live sessions over the last.
So dang, I gotta watch that. Well, what? So they're not doing. I guess I should just watch it, but they're not doing SEO at all.
No, they're doing SEO. They're just not doing this whole. Even their NFG. They had their NFG, like their private kind of thing. I just think training, education, is not for them anymore. I think they want to focus on different business models. So yeah, but
it's fair.
Hey, it is what it is. But we're not retiring yet. Maybe one day, Nicole. But whilst there's still questions, I'm happy to do it as long as Chris is. So why the hell not? But back to the questions. Tonya, a DR50 domain with thousands of backlinks that was offline for 2 years. Any way to revive the power of those links?
This is the debatable thing, right? So just because it had, you don't know until you set it back up is the answer. Period end. So like it could have thousands of referrings. It was old. It was awesome. You're not going to know it's going to come back until you set that site up with those previous existing pages. So find the bulk, usually the home page and 1 or 2 other pages, set those pages up. They don't need to be identical to what was there before. Just put the URLs up. Unless you want to get crazy, then you could set it up how it was. But when I say set it up how it was, it's just the URLs. Put those up, let it sit for 30, 60 days, 90 days sometimes, and see what comes back. Oftentimes the DR will stay, but the referring domains will plummet. So set it up and see what's up.
It's 50-50.
50-50.
You know, there's sometimes where I've tried that and it's worked well, and other times where it doesn't. So
absolutely,
just make sure you look at what's happened in between times. Has someone else grabbed that for a short period and done a redirect and sucked all the link juice out of it?
Yep.
Who knows? So yeah.
Exactly. Oh, you've played this game before. I could tell by your you've played this game before of losing. You think you got a hot one. You're like, oh, I got one. You know, paid $12, get it set up. A month later, you're like, there's 41 referring domains left.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Not fun when that happens, but hey, you can't win everything.
No.
Half. Our Saul says, won't know what to watch Netflix now they've retired. Just harass them on Skype, dude. Just harass them on Skype. They are. Brad's good for books. Mike is always good for suggesting things to watch. So hit them up on Skype. Tonya, set up the backup already. It's not ranking. How long have you had that set up for, Tonya? Because like anything, it's got to get crawled, indexed, and all that kind of stuff. Are you being impatient, or are you going to tell me if it's been up for 8 months or something? Then you may have a problem. But
set up backup already, not ranking. So is that a separate question then? Oh no, Tanya, same person.
Yeah.
So you set up the asset. Well, ranking and passing power are two different things, right? Is it indexed, right? Do you think that there's no value if the page isn't ranking page 1? As far as link equity being passed, what do you think, Craig?
Well, there'll be link equity there, not necessarily.
The best.
Link equity doesn't come from just page 1 rankings, but I don't know the context of what's going on here with Tonya. But if you stuck that up and nothing's been indexed in 3 months, again, not indexed and maybe half-assed ranking are two different things.
Right.
Stuff starting to pull through, ranking wise, and it's got good domain authority. I think potentially you may need to rejig the content and stuff like that. But if nothing's happening at all, and you've stuck it up for 3 months, there may be a problem of some kind. So I'm not sure. So let us know, Tonya, what the situation is. Because that sat in page 2 or 3 or 4 or wherever it's landed. So it's indexing fine. There's no manual penalties, and all links showing up in Google Search Console, but it's not ranking. So you don't always need to have a manual penalty in Search Console to have an algorithmic penalty put on your website. So, I've seen many websites that went, ooh, boom, down, dead. No, there was no manual action taken. the Google just placed a filter over that website, and you'll never shake that off. So because it's no manual penalties, it's indexing fine, all links showing up, but it's not ranking at all. Is the question? Not ranking at all. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, it sounds like it's it's just half-assed. Ranking. Hey, if the pages are indexed now, if you're trying to rank that site now, that's a problem. But if you're putting up pages just to pass equity, who cares where it's ranking?
Yeah.
But if it's for a PBN, I want to make sure that wherever it's indexed, wherever the traffic that's coming in, I want that traffic to be about whatever I'm passing to. So if I'm trying to pump a car accident lawyer, I want the site that I'm on to be, getting some type of traffic about car accidents, car injuries, stuff like that. Ideally.
Yeah.
Yay, electrical. Got new picture in there, huh?
ZA is looking very suave.
Yeah. Dune. I like them shades, dude.
So, Ursul, from all the conference you guys went to in 2023, what were the top 3 knowledge bombs both of you learned from going to these events? Be specific. Could be mindset, it could be tactics. So what have you learned this year, Chris, when you've been out at conferences?
Well, I only went to 2, right? I mean, it's stuff. I don't know. There's probably a lot. I don't know. I don't ever look for the knowledge bombs. I'm looking to build a relationship or acquire clients. So, I mean, for me, it's more about relationship, right? For me, because in order for me to leave my little Chris, and go somewhere else, I mean, it's only about relationships. That's it. But as far as knowledge bombs, the validation of stuff that I already knew, like, hey, do links inside of schema get crawled and indexed? And can I get credit? Does it pass link equity? Yes. And then having that validation and seeing that was premium. Having it, again, validation of stuff that I've essentially knew, but it's good to see the data behind it. The next piece, and that was Terry Samuels. The next thing was Dory. Dory laid out high authoritative websites and showed internal link flow and the power of internal linking. And look at these top sites. That was eye-opening. And then last but not least, I learned a lot. I don't know. Those are the things that stick out, actually.
I think the problem you've got, Ursul, is everyone thinks that you go to these conferences for new knowledge bombs. We can't reinvent the wheel. There's only so many methods that people can talk about and twist and regurgitate and tweak. So I think I don't think for me personally, I go to these to get blown away by a knowledge bomb. Now, yes, I'll pick up maybe another tool that someone's using that might be better than a tool that I'm already using. Again, just getting something reaffirmed in your head. I think for a lot of the times, sometimes things don't work, tactics don't necessarily work, and then they work again because you hear some guy talking about it again on stage, and trying something again. But I think the biggest thing for me is also the kind of relationship side of things, and stuff like that, rather than going out there for knowledge bombs. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I have not picked up anything from any of the conferences. I would be lying if I said that. People have given me different mindsets, a different way of looking at things, and I've come across. I've been to, I don't know how many conferences this year, but it's a lot. So there's lots of things I picked up on the road, but nothing I can really think of off the top of my head that I would describe as a knowledge bomb as such. Maybe something I thought, I'm not too sure about that, and then I've dived in deeper because of someone's presentation or conversation I've had with them. So I do that all of the time, and I can't remember all of the people and everything that I've dived into, but Yeah. So, but mindset and a different way of looking at things, or pushing me towards something else that I maybe ignored in the past. All of that comes from conferences. Adam, where do you go to hire devs, Chris? Upwork? That?
I mean, I've finally found one, even though he goes on hiatuses. But yeah, Upwork is perfectly fine. Yeah, generally what I hate to give this up, but in order to help, right, pay it forward. If you look up Code Canyon and you look for a script or a plugin or an asset that someone has made, something that's kind of similar to what you want, what you'll quickly find is that's people promoting guys that do that. So go to Code Canyon, and there's piles of devs there. And you'll find something that's relatively similar, but every single one of them has a profile and a website. 90% are a person or a company or a business that does that. And usually you can outreach to them. So you find somebody that already has something that's very similar on Code Canyon, and you outreach to them. And that's how I was able to find the guy that makes my scripts. And you're welcome.
I think Upwork, it's not going to be a new suggestion, Adam, but I've used Upwork for many years, and obviously because there's people from all over the world on there, I just think it's a good place to go and get things like that done as well. So Upwork would be another suggestion.
There you go.
Tonya, is there sense to make info articles about plumbing on a plumber's website if there's no budget to build links to them and rank them?
Well, it still makes sense to build depth of concept. So the answer is definitely. You should still build depth of concept, and it's there to support it. You're not trying to win informational terms as a plumber, and plus too, if you're a plumber, you're probably doing that in a specific local area. So do I really want to if I'm in New York City, do I really want guys from LA or people from LA calling me? Not really. And that's what you'll get from informational content if it's right off the root. Now, if you're building supporting content to support a specific service in a specific area, now I'm hyper geo-specific informational content. Now I can if I do get somebody to land, it's going to be geo-specific, and I'm building depth of concept. And that is what I would focus on. Plus, with internal linking, those long phrase keywords, you'll probably be able to win off default if you built the site properly. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think not everyone builds links to every article that they make on. This all comes down to competition. Can you rank with content alone for specific terms? Of course you can. So it makes no sense not to try and have those articles out there, even if there isn't enough budget to potentially build the links you want to them. But like you say, Chris, our Dory has shown a good solid internal linking structure can pass power around that website as well. So you don't have to link to every page. I'm sure in the perfect world with the perfect budget, you probably would try it. But is it always a requirement? It's not. So, I think you'll be able to.
Link vendors will say that you need to, but not usually.
Yeah. So, do you guys make use of GPT for sheets? If so, in what ways?
I just started playing around with that to build out schema, but yeah, that's the only thing I'm playing around with it. But the guys in my group love it, and they use it for all different types of stuff, content, schema primarily. That's me. How about you, Craig?
No, I don't. Nope. Not for any other reason than I'm just yeah, I just don't
bother with it.
Yeah. So fair play to people who do. But yeah, I'm not there yet with it. So yeah. But guys, keep your questions coming. Also, give us a little like on the video. We've got 15 minutes left to answer as many questions as you have. Don't retire us early, guys. We want to answer as many as we can. Ursol asks, what do you guys think of the one-click mentality when using AI? Ursol, this is the thing. The one-click mentality when using AI, we all want the easy, quickest, fastest way to do things. For me, it's just not there yet in terms of being able to use one click as much as I'd love to. I have played around with content that automatically gets pushed on to WordPress and so on and so forth. And on the last update, it has taken a bit of a tumble. So I think that shows me that there is a need for the human editing and the tweaking and the fine tuning and everything else. So the one-click mentality, as much as I'd love it to work because it make life a lot easier, I just don't think it's there yet, in my opinion.
It's fair.
What about you?
There. No, you'll get lucky sometimes. But even if you go to ChatGPT without throwing a tool on top that's already pre-prompted or pre-scripted, if you ask it the same thing enough times, you're going to get the same flipping content again. So now if I have a tool that's already pre-scripted, like what's the probability of someone else being in the same niche trying to get the same content as you? Probably very high. I don't like it. I'm good on that. I think the human editing is mandatory at this point.
Yeah.
It sucks though. I don't want to do it. I like easy, but it just doesn't work, unfortunately.
Honey, one page is in my website is not indexing, even after submitting it multiple times to Search Console. Page is discovered by Google, but not indexed yet.
Try a new variation, relaunch the page, change the slug out. People disagree with me on this, but in my opinion, Google either likes it or they don't. Like you can keep going back and you'll keep struggling with it, but I can almost guarantee that page is never going to go. You change that slug up and change the content slightly and redo it, I bet you it'll probably index for you.
So just wipe it out, start again.
Wipe it out, start again. It could be literally very, very close the same, but change the slug, change the content briefly, change it up. It'll probably go for you.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. People argue, they don't like that answer. Haven't you ever noticed that, or am I the only one?
No, listen, there's dude, I don't even notice it. I've noticed it more even on a website level rather than just content. Sometimes Google just do not fucking like a domain. For example, you're like, for the love of fucking God, there's nothing wrong with this. Why is it not fucking moving?
Yeah.
So, if Google take a dislike to whether it be a piece of content or a domain name,
Next.
you're fucked. So, throw it in the bin and start again. Would be my advice. You follow a certain strategy that works for you on 9 out of 10 websites. There's always that fucking one, and it's the same with pages. There's always one that's a bit of a stickler. So I think what you said, Chris, move on. Don't spend too much time rejigging it. If Google don't like it, they don't like it, and that's all there is to it. Just try and cut it loose and start again. And
yeah, that's a hard, pill to swallow, I guess. But man, sometimes they just don't like you.
You can't win them all. You can't have every fucking page ranking. So, yeah. But follow up to the plumbing question: if there is no backlinks, the pages are not ranking, there's no traffic, where will the power come from?
Back to the what was the question? Follow up. If there's no backlinks and the pages aren't ranking, well, then there is nowhere for it to come from. It's not going to just come from nowhere. If there's no backlinks, no nothing. What's 0 plus 0 is 0? Right? Like there has to be something. Like there has to be backlinks for it to pass power.
Yeah.
And just because a page is ranking number 90 doesn't mean that it won't pass power if there is referring domains. you know.
But that was obviously the follow-up to the question on the plumbing website. If there's no budget to build links, would you add the content? There is no power on that domain name, Tonya. Then you'd be hoping that you're going after keywords that are very, very long tail. And hopefully you get a few leads where you can get the money for the budget to go build some citations and build other links and everything else that you need to get that thing moving.
That's
it. Rob, when a page enters a SERP for the first time, does it carry DA, age, power of the domain, even if the domain has never been ranked on any related SERP before?
Well, does it carry power from the main domain? Yes. Yeah. If the main domain has some type of equity, it should have a starting point of some sort. Like if your main root domain has, we'll just use Ahrefs as a metric, a DR of 50 and a UR of 40. When I create a new page, it's going to start with some type of equity as long as internal links are being flowed to that page. So the answer is yes, depending on internal links. Dude, what do you think, Craig?
I mean, you can, like we said earlier, you can push power around using your internal linking structure to a page. Obviously a domain has domain authority. So the domain does carry some weight and some power and some authority. And of course that's going to carry over to a new page to some degree. Does that mean you just rely on that? The answer would be no. Solely don't just rely on the power of your overall domain name. It depends on the keyword. For a relatively easy search term, yeah, that might be enough for that to pop onto page one. But I still think there's work to be done, and people very often don't like linking to their inner pages in a lot of cases. So I think I wouldn't just be solely reliant on the age and the power of the domain name overall.
That's fair. Oh yeah, and I retract that. The UR, usually a little bit of UR will pass. Usually not much though. Now that I think about it, if I have a main
UR of 6, or some shit like that. It's a little,
yeah,
a little dash.
Yeah,
but yeah, LDL. When trying to index bulk location pages, do you think Google is reading the image, checking that it is a local image, or just the file name and alt text?
So this is another debated one. I think you should have some, just the gradient with a new title name and alt tag is a new picture, even if it's the same picture. I think in order to have a unique page and index location pages at a higher rate, you're going to need a unique image. But a unique image could come down to the gradient of the color. Like, open up whatever tool you're using and just one click up just to make it one dash brighter so the pixels change. Yes, I think they're looking at that. Yes. In my opinion. One guy's opinion.
Google are fairly smart, so I think you've got to be ticking the box where you can. But LinkedIn user, what's the benefit on press releases, traditional PR releases like Magic PR, Randy Roday, 38 Digital Market, so on and so forth? One, you get links. 2, brand exposure. 3, referring domain count.
Co-citation.
There's a lot of different benefits that you could argue back and forth of the benefit of press releases. It's obviously a deliverable for a client as well. It's clients always want to know what you're doing. Sometimes you need to shove something like that to them, which will blow their mind. So there's many different benefits there on those. So hopefully that answers it. Anything to add to that, Chris?
Nothing to add to that. That's perfect. Can't go wrong with a press release.
You cannot. Tonya says, thanks, guys. And Nicole says, flip it opposite.
That's only one, though. You need, when you're scaling out thousands of location pages, you need a lot of modifications. Flipping it, that's one. That's one way. I like gradient and then flip gradient. So you could usually get 50 gradient changes. You can usually get 100 out of every image. And then you flip. You get another 100.
And you get a VA to do that, or is there a tool to do that, Chris?
There's tools to do that. Numerous tools. GSA has a good tool to help you with that. That's what we use. There's an image spider to help with that. Yeah, I think Scrapebox has a feature to do that. Then the guys that make Video Spin Blaster Pro, they have an image blaster. We were using that before GSA's tool. And then, of course, if you're paying what's the popular one called? Like Adobe's, I can't think of the name. Adobe Photoshop or whatever. Like if you're paying a monthly sub, they have all types of ways to, then you can add stuff on top. That's another really clever way to do it too. You could just put the location, small in the bottom. Now I have a new image because that changes the code, the hex code. There you go.
Cool. Paul Monday. Is geotagging an image worth it for GBP ranking?
Not in my opinion. No, it's not. Not in my opinion. Not at all.
Again, one of those much debated things. There's guys out there fucking tagging the shit out of that stuff. It's maybe a lot of work for very little rewards, if anything, Paul.
If it's the benefit, it's so tiny that it's not worth the effort. How do you chart? That's in the deliverable list. Hey, I geotagged your images. Did that produce a result? No. Oh, but you owe me $1,000. So yeah, no.
Tonya says, just write the name of the location over the image.
That's one way. Yep. Some people don't like clients. Some clients don't like that though. They think it's, it's not feng shui. Like it will look good. Okay, I'll just change the color.
No problem, Paul. Glad to reaffirm that. Sometimes you just need someone else to say it just to make sure you're feeling the right thing. But
plus, do they strip that when you go and download an image? Is that stuff in there? I don't know. Probably not. No. So are they stripping it out? Is it still there, or is it because I downloaded it, it's gone? I don't know. But I noticed when we tested it, I didn't get a result. So I'm not gonna keep going. No.
Nah, fuck that. For very little reward, fucking.
And then too, like we were doing the hex edits and like force feed and stuff into the hex edits, and for a while there we were getting a benefit off of that, and then all of a sudden, I forget what update it was, that stopped working, and I was like, oh man, gee, they're on to us. They're on to us. No.
Dune says, stay cool. We do have like a minute and a half left. If anyone's got any last minute questions, please do put them there. Also, do check 38 Digital Market. The link is below for press releases from Mr. Randy Roday. But yeah, if we have any last minute questions, then we will answer them. But we are nearly out of time, so you've got a minute to go, guys. And I'm not leaving because I like the hour-long ticked off, Chris.
Right on there, yeah.
Get the timing under the belt. So,
well, your video gets put into a different bracket when it hits an hour.
Yeah. So it's always good to just do it, even if we need to talk a lot of shit for another 50 seconds. But you also, I never said, check out Chris Palmer on Chris Palmer SEO. Just Google that, YouTube it.
Thank you, Craig. How's that lighting look today? Is that a little bit better? I got a new one. No?
Yeah. And you're back to I just like the old backdrop. It just reminds me of when we first started.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of people are like, is that Chris's fucking house? I'm like,
It's my
I
house.
don't know.
I'm like, oh, it's over here. No, it's right here. That's so fun. I like doing that when it's like a star background or something, or I'm floating in space. It's fun.
So what happened to the green screen if you just fucking binned it?
Well, I have 3 green screens. I'm fancy now. This one's one of those ones that you could put on the back of your seat. It's a circle.
Yeah.
So it just, I have a stool that I sit on. I usually stand when I'm working, but you know, I just set it right there on my little stool, and depends on what I'm doing. Like for this kind of stuff, I'll sit. But if I was gonna say thinking, if I'm actually like doing work, I like to stand.
Fair enough. Is it Barry Manilow's place? It looks like Barry Manilow's place. But we did have a final question, Chris.
Sure.
Do links from YouTube videos without views matter? Do links from YouTube videos full stop matter?
I don't. It's not about the link. I think it's building that co-citation of your brand with keyword. It's very hard to describe, but I think it goes into entities and being synonymous with the keywords that are important to your brand, business, or service. Do I think that producing YouTube videos, even if they don't get views, is worth your while? The answer is definitely yes, but it's nothing to do with the actual backlink or hyperlink that you build to your website. That has nothing to do with it. It's having more entities, anything that has a machine readable entity ID, videos, audio, or images that are tied back to your brand, business, or service, targeting a specific keyword or keyword set. That's what matters. So yes, build them out, my friend.
But on that note, guys, we are out of time. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. And thanks to Chris for jumping on.
Of course.
And that is it until next week, guys. So
next week,
please do give it a like. And we will catch you next week, guys. See you later.
Palmer out. No.